they only won by a single goal. So United and Real Sociedad have finished level on points and on their head-to-head record as well. So that means we go to goal difference to determine top spot. And as you can see, Real Sociedad are ahead by 1 goal, so they win the group and automatically qualify for the round of 16. Manchester United finished second. That means they'll play in the knockout playoff round. And this is who they could face next. It's going to be one of the teams that finished third place in the Champions League. It makes for exciting games to come for Manchester United up against one of these lot: Ajax, Leverkusen, Barcelona, Sporting, Salzburg, Shakhtar Donetsk, Sevilla or Juventus. So a lot of good teams in there that Manchester United could be facing next. Before we get the thoughts of Owen Hargreaves and Paul Scholes, let's hear from one of the Manchester United squad tonight. They couldn't quite get the job done to finish top of the group. Bruno Fernandes has been talking to Becky Ives.
Well, Bruno, it's a win, but it's ultimately left you second in the group. What are your thoughts on that?
No, obviously our goal for today was winning the game by 2 goal difference. We knew that we need that. I think we did a great game. We tried everything. At the end, we take a little bit more risks because was needed to score the second goal. But we won the game. It's a great win against a tough opponent. Obviously, as I said before, is not the top of the group. That what was our goal for before the game, but it's always a win.
You said there was pressure at the end, but before that, you were limited to shots in that second half. Is there anything that perhaps you would have done differently?
No, we knew that we had to take more risks in the second half if we need a goal. We did that. Obviously, we knew that they could get more chances because we had less people defending. We had to take the risk to have more people in front to try to score the goals. It was what we did. We didn't concede, so another clean sheet that is really important for us. And as I said before, is another win. So we keep winning. We keep this. We keep without losing games, and that is really important for the confidence of the team.
For you today, you played on the right wing. Did you enjoy it?
I play wherever the coach needs me to play. Obviously, it's not my position, but I try my best to help the team, to be involved in the way that I can be helpful for the team.
There was a goal tonight. Alejandro Garnacho. How good was he?
Oh, he was good, but he knows that we expect a lot from him. Obviously, still really young. He's doing really well. He had the beginning of the season not at his best. In the tour he didn't have the best attitude that he should have, and that's why he didn't get his chances until now. He's getting his chances because he's training better. He's having a different attitude, and he's deserving his chances.
Well, look, it is the playoff round for you. Have you paid much attention to the teams that have dropped down from the Champions League before tonight's game?
No, we don't need to look at that because, as I said, our main goal was to go first, so we could avoid that. Now we have to play against one of them, but that's no problem for us if we want to win the competition. So we have to find good teams and in any moment of the competition. So as soon or later, we'll be ready for that.
Lovely. Bruno,
thank you very much.
Well, a couple of really interesting comments there from Bruno Fernandes. First of all, what do you make of what he said about Garnacho there and his problems with his attitude?
Well, he said that was pre-season, didn't he? So he was obviously a little bit big for his boots. In the summer, he's kind of saying maybe a little bit above his station. I think he did go with Argentina and someone playing with Messi. So maybe he thought he's coming back and this is me, I'm part of this team. But he's a young lad, he's going to learn. It's obviously his attitude has changed. And we're seeing the benefits of that. He looks a really top-class young player, still a long way to go. He's 18 years of age, was really good last week in the home game, and scored a really good goal tonight. So, look, there was clearly an attitude problem, but it seems like he's got over it.
How much of that change in his attitude could be down to the manager coming in?
Probably is, yeah. But I think obviously he's playing for his country as well. So Scholes is right. I think a young player, especially a talented one like that, they always think they're ready. They always want to play. It doesn't matter who's in front of them. Probably sometimes it can rub the older players the wrong way. But we can go off the evidence that we see when he plays. He's played twice. He's been amazing. So credit to him. You get an opportunity as a young kid at 18 to step up. In the 2 games we've seen, he's been the difference maker. So. I'm proud of him. When you step on that stage as a young guy, with the young guys, you never know. It's sink or swim. And so far, he's done a great job.
The other thing to pick up on there is that Bruno Fernandes comments on playing out of position tonight. You're not going to get the best out of him out there, are you?
No. And I think he answered the question well. He did a job for his team, which I think he's that type of player. Right? But it's the last place he'll want to be. When you're a central player playing in the middle of the pitch, I've experienced it. Playing out wide is not where you want to be. You just see it as you're running up and down all the time. You can't really get involved in the play. And that was obvious tonight because he rarely created, rarely on the ball, and it's a difficult position when you're a central player.
Yeah, Manchester United needed to win by a 2-goal margin to top the group, but they won by 1-0 against Real Sociedad tonight. And it all had started so well, hadn't it, Paul Scholes? Comfortable in the first half and a brilliant debut goal from Garnacho. And at this point, the game seemed to be in control.
Yeah, I thought the full first half, United were in complete control of the game. Bruno doesn't want to play on the right-hand side, but he did it and he did a job for the team. But Garnacho was a real threat again, as he was last week. Fantastic pass from Cristiano. I think it's that second touch, gets it out of his feet. And a really good finish. I thought the keeper could have done slightly better. I think he did make it quite simple. But great movement, again, from Garnacho right back as well. Looks a little bit tired, let's say. But that second touch is fantastic. I think that's what makes the goal. And I'm really pleased for the young lad. Look, he's been fantastic last week. Really good again. I thought it was the biggest threat again for United today. I thought it was the best forward player United had. And look, normally you'd be saying 1-0 away from home in Europe against a Spanish team is a really good result. Unfortunately, we know we needed the 2 goals, so it's probably not as good as we'd hoped it would have been.
He was a bright spark out there, wasn't he, Garnacho? But why couldn't Manchester United be more effective going forward through him in that first half and even early in the second half too?
Well, first of all, I mean, so in this competition, they're the best defence so far. Only 1 goal conceded, and they only conceded 2 in the whole competition, which is a joint best. So I think maybe Erik ten Hag thought defensively they're a really good side. Maybe we'll play a little bit longer. Maybe saw a little bit of vulnerability in heading the ball. They played a lot more longer balls today than they have in, I think it's the most they played in over a year. And you can see Erik ten Hag, he was quite clear, this is 30 seconds into the game. Back to David De Gea and the long diag, I think they thought, with Cristiano especially up there, that they had an advantage. Martinez played some fantastic long balls in the game, some long diags, and they were looking for it. Look, Cristiano almost gets in again there. They didn't create a ton from open play. I think that was given offside. But there was moments where the long ball was causing Real Sociedad issues. That one from Eriksson Scholes is just a tiny bit long, but it felt like they were looking for it today. Yeah,
they were a lot more than we'd usually see, and obviously bringing Maguire as well. You felt that was the plan, but I think you have to give credit to Sociedad. When they were doing that, I thought Sociedad defended it really well. I thought they were brave. I thought they headed the ball away, and the plan didn't really work, except for the second half especially. This is when Maguire comes on. Yes, he wins this, but it's not really effective. They deal with it really well, Sociedad. And I was just surprised they went away from that first half performance where they were in complete control. He did make subs to try and change it, but it didn't really work.
He said before the game, Erik ten Hag, that he needed to try a different approach. They needed to go for it. He then tried to change things up in the second half. Was that down to the fact that Real Sociedad were dealing with those long balls quite effectively?
Well, I think he thought, I'll take a defender off in Lindelof, I'll bring in Scott McTominay. I'll take a midfielder off in Van der Beek and bring on an attacker in Marcus Rashford. So in essence, you could say they're both positive changes because he wanted a goal. He went from a back 4 to a back 3. But they didn't really, felt like the rhythm kind of went. Everybody was in a slightly different position and they didn't really create much from that point. Obviously, Maguire on at the end was for, get some long balls in, get the ball in the box. But Scholes is right. Real Sociedad defended the box really well. You can see why they've conceded the fewest goals in the competition. And it just fizzled out. We felt like with the first half, felt like the second goal would come. Didn't in the second half. It just didn't materialise.
OK, well, let's get the thoughts of the Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag. He's been talking to Becky.
Well, Eric, it was a win, but ultimately not quite enough to achieve the task you wanted tonight. How do you feel?
You not always get what you deserve, so is football. When you first leg, you get the penalty. What isn't the penalty? Today we win. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with some other things like the performance from Garnacho. Donny back in the team. I think we make a really good goal with Garnacho. Some good chances as well, first half. So that was a win from today, but of course we are disappointed. We didn't score 2 goals because that is what we needed.
Is Garnacho giving you a nice selection headache going forward?
No, we need options, and we have problems there. Anthony not available, Anthony Martial not available, Jadon Sancho not available. So it's thin, but I'm really happy with the performance, and I hope he can keep the process going. He was a threat. He scored a goal. He was reliable defending. So if he can keep this going, I'm really happy.
Was his goal the finish of somebody much older than his years, perhaps?
The what?
The finish of his goal,
Yeah.
was that of somebody much older than his years?
Oh, it was a great finish. That is definitely it. I think it was a great attack over David de Gea, Bruno, Ronnie, and then the switch of play, and then the great finish was really enjoyable.
On 60 minutes, you started to make the changes. Tactically, what was your thought process there?
Yeah, to bring extra offensive players in, but I think in that moment we were a little bit too rash, too erratic. We didn't work that good on the ball anymore, and so we bring less balls in the box. And when you do this, you need to come in the box, and in that process didn't work well. I think the last 10 minutes we get again the ball in the box, and then we create also a good chance. But yeah, that was the idea. We have to take risk. That is what we did, and then keep the clean sheet very well.
So Victor Lindelof wasn't injured or still carrying any of that illness?
No.
Look, it was a win tonight, and that has meant the momentum carries on because you are 9 unbeaten now. So is it a positive attitude still in the dressing room?
Yeah, of course we are disappointed. We want always be number 1, and when we aren't, we are disappointed. But I said you some positives, and also we have to take that from San Sebastian as well.
Eric, thank you very much.
Please.
He talks there about the fact they needed to take risks, but he said at times it was too rash, too erratic. When you're forcing it like that sometimes, Paul, in a game, can it sometimes get a bit desperate like that? Is that how it felt?
Yeah, well, that's the way it looks. We said in the second half, just looked a bit messy. That there was no real plan. It was just to launch it up front and see if we can get onto second balls. It was a little bit League One, League Two-ish for me. Being a little bit disrespectful to them.
To your Salford team?
Yeah, we're a bit better than that. Yeah, look, there were positive substitutions. Don't get me wrong. Bringing a centre half off is positive for a midfield player. Bringing Marcus on for Donny van der Beek is positive. I just don't think Marcus was in the right position. I thought Bruno on the right-hand side could have swapped with easily with Marcus. Bruno was ineffective on the right-hand side. You know what, he probably knows he's going to be, and we all know he's going to be, but he's doing the job for the team, probably defensively. Bring him into the middle of the pitch, let Marcus get out wide. It makes you wonder, probably Marcus is carrying something. He probably didn't want him to stretch his legs down the outside, where Marcus is most dangerous. Once it's into the middle of the pitch, Marcus has to take a touch, beat a man, beat 2 men. He's capable, but it's not his best position. Getting Bruno in that position would have been much better, I thought, and it gave the team a little bit better shape.
He talked before the game, Eric Ten Hag, about the fact that, there's difficult games coming up. Aston Villa twice on the way, Fulham before the World Cup break, and that's why he didn't start Marcus Rashford. That's what he said before the game. But as Paul says there, do you feel like he got that wrong?
No, because you look at the injuries. Obviously, Anthony's not playing. Anthony Martial is out. Jadon Sancho's out. I don't think you can afford to lose Marcus. If maybe there is a little bit of something there, you have to be careful. So I can understand why he did it. And he kept saying yesterday and he said today before the game, he had a plan. And I think that plan was to keep it as it was and maybe Marcus come in the game and get the second goal. He tried. The plan was there. It just didn't materialise. But I just think United are in a good way. To go, Scholes, you mentioned, you go there and you win, you keep a clean sheet. Martinez looked fantastic again today. David made some big save. Casemiro looked great again. Dalot looked good in a back three as well. Luke Shaw, I thought, played fantastic. So there's a lot of positives. They just didn't really create enough going forward like you probably would have anticipated. But Garnacho, again, was fantastic. Yeah,
very special night for him. But Manchester United do finish second in the group, which means they do have this extra knockout playoff round to play in February. 2 matches to play on the 16th and the 23rd. Because Manchester United are seeded, it means they get the home game in the second leg. But let's take a look at the teams that they could face. And the draw is coming up on Monday, so Man United will find out their fate then. There's some big teams in here, Paul. Who do you want to avoid?
Who do you want to avoid? Look, I think Barca. Look, I loved him to drive. I've said it a few times. I loved him to play against Barca. It just gets the juices flowing, gets the atmosphere going at either ground. I think they're capable of beating them, but Barca on the other end are a really good team. We know that. They're probably the only one who I think you would probably want to avoid. As much as I want to play against them, do you know? I've just got a feeling they're going to get Ajax.
Well, it's kind of written, isn't it, Owen? Ten Hag against his old club.
Well, I'm not like Scholes. I hope they avoid Barca. Get Barca in the final. Don't want to play Barca because that could be a really hard game. But they're all really good sides, good footballing sides with good managers. Juventus, Sevilla, Shakhtar. I'll be honest, there's no easy ones. Sporting were great in Tottenham's group, so no easy ones. Made it a little bit more difficult than it needed to be. But in the end, I think they're favourite, regardless who they play outside of Barca.
Do you echo that? You think United are still favourites to go all the way?
Yeah, along with Barcelona, as I keep saying. I think them other teams, United are more than capable of beating them. Sevilla have a great experience. Juventus, obviously, a big club, but struggling. I'd fancy them to beat the rest of them. Barcelona, again, will be tricky, but I'd like to see that game.